Hi, this is the fellow passenger speaking. Today we're going to make a complete IDM track using some generative and experimental techniques. But before I say anything more, here's a little glimpse of what's to come. Thank you for hanging in there. In this video, we are going to pick a defined structure which will help us actually finish music. And I think that's the main purpose of this little tutorial, because it's something that we all struggle with, is to finish stuff. It may not be the most polished track that we end up with today, but hopefully it will feed you a bunch of techniques that you can apply and spend perhaps a little bit more time and polish it in the best possible way and make something really, really cool. I would also like to mention that I am using Ableton, wrong place. I'm using Ableton 11.2.5. And why I'm saying that is because if you sign up to Patreon, you will be able to download this project and all the sounds and stuff that I'm using in here, and you can use it in your own music or reverse engineer it or do whatever you want if you support me on Patreon. But I just want to mention which version of Ableton I'm using. So if you're using this one, or I suppose a later version, you will be fine. Your support would mean loads to me. If you cannot support me on Patreon, maybe you want to buy something from my merch store. There will be a link in my description. The other thing is, I would like to apologize for the big gap that's been in the last few weeks, because I've been away, I've had COVID, and then I've also spent some time actually finishing an album. It's all done, and I've sent it off. It's going to be released and available in January on the great label Point Source Arts, originally based in Illinois. There will be a link to their stuff in the description too. You can find some of my music on there, but also some other really great artists. So I really recommend to check it out. That support would be great too. And if anything, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. All acknowledgements mean loads to me. So without further ado, let's just get into this. So I talked about picking a structure which can really help, and see this structure not as a rule, but more as a guideline for helping you to finish some music. So we're going to go through 6 steps here. Number 1 is that we are going to create a bunch of tracks, each labeled with their intention. So there will be a track for kicks, one for snares, so snares, similar things, hi-hats and bass and other things. We will have a little look at that. So I'll set those tracks up. Number 2, I will pick a whole bunch of sounds that are interesting and apply them to the different tracks. Number 3 is create patterns. So I'm going to use this view. I am much more used to using this view, but in this one we're going to focus more on here to create little snippet patterns which we can then use to generate interesting content. So I'm going to create a whole bunch of foundation patterns, add some randomization in there and things just to benefit from the generative techniques. Then the 4th thing we're going to do is hit record, randomize loads, generate lots and lots and lots of material. That leads us on to the next step, which is arrange. Take bits of everything we recorded and try to assemble a track out of it. And then the last step is faffing. It's not really faffing, it's just polishing it a bit, gluing things together. Maybe there are some transitions that don't really feel that transition-y, and yes, adding some effects and maybe some EQing and things. It may not be super polished, but that's okay. It's more about little principles and ideas and techniques that you can use. You can choose whatever structure you want. This is just a different structure to what I've done in previous videos, and I thought it would just be an interesting thing to share with you. So if I would do this within an hour, I'm not going to constrain myself to that actually, but it would be about 10 minutes each, and that's going to be tight. Also, there might be quite a lot of repetition in this video, so I'm going to take the liberty in post-production, or maybe just fast forwarding if I'm doing a lot of the same task, but that's okay. All right, let's start by making a bunch of tracks that we're going to use. You can have whatever tracks you like. I'm going to keep this quite basic for this one. So we're going to have one track for kicks, one MIDI track for snare-ish, because it might not always be snares. It might be claps or something similar that could serve that purpose. We need hats, hi-hat sounds, and we need one for other percussion. I'm going to take those ones because these are currently everything that's going to generate beats for us, and I'm going to color them the same. Let's just pick that blue is fine, and Command G. I'm going to group them. So Command G, I suppose, is Control G or something on a PC to put them in a group, because that means that we can process them together, which is sometimes good for percussion stuff. We're going to need some other tracks as well. We're going to need the bass line, and we're going to need a lead melody. I want to call it melody instead. Melodic, that's fine. And then we need some sort of pad thing going on. You can obviously have more melodic tracks and things, but yeah, for this purpose, let's keep it simple. All right, we have created our MIDI tracks. That's done now. Amazing. And we are going to build something that's going to allow you to generate lots of ideas. Therefore, we need lots of different types of kicks. I'm going to show you how to do the first couple, and then I might fast forward a bit because it will be a lot samey. I've taken a sampler and I've placed it on the kick channel, and then I'm going to go into my sample library. So all the sounds that we will be using in this tutorial, you will be able to use. It will only be sounds that I have generated, and you will be able to use them as you like. So let's do, I got these sample library, which is, these kicks are synthesized using Ableton, but then I've run them through my old Mackie desk, the CR1604. For you who are in the know, it's not the VLZ model, it's the original old one, which is nice if you drive them, especially if you drive the sounds using the EQ. Sounds interesting. And a bit lo-fi. Okay, so I have dragged that library into here. You can obviously use whatever kicks you have. And then I'm going to click on select rather than key. Key will allow you to play a different sound depending on which key you're pressing. Velocity is obviously doing the same thing, but based on the velocity of how hard you hit the keys. And then select is going to be based on where this position is. So now I right-clicked. If I did that too quickly, if I right-clicked here and then I distribute ranges equally, and that's just like spreading this all over the select thing. So if I, you get the idea. The other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to set scale to 0. And the reason for that is because I can press different keys on the keyboard, but I don't want to play the kick drums in different pitches. I just want them in the original pitch. And I'm going to set it to mono because we're not going to take any chords, and I'm going to draw up the release even. And if I press a key very fast and release very fast, the release is going to allow the sample to play till the end or smoothly. I'm also going to turn off the filter because currently the filter is tracking to the keyboard and we don't want that. Okay, good. And then I'll just show you the next one. So I selected that one and hit Command G on the Mac, Control G, I suppose, on a PC to group these. And we're going to make a whole bunch of kick libraries. So we can just copy that one that we just did and paste it in there. And we select all the sounds in this new one and we remove them. And then we pick another kick library. What other kicks do we have? We have just kicks. Some interesting ones there. We are going to select distribute ranges equally. And now I'm probably going to fast forward a bit and I'm just going to add a few more of these doing the same thing, just to have lots of libraries in there. Okay, I'm back. I have done the kicks now and we're going to move on to the snares, and I am going to do the same thing there. Maybe not quite as many libraries, but I'm going to do a similar thing. Just realized something here. I have managed to drag in way more than 128 sounds. So in each sampler, that's the maximum you can use unless you want to layer sounds. So at the moment, the last sound will actually play all the last samples in this library, which was about 120 sounds at the same time, all mapped to the last key, and we don't want that. So have a little think about that. You want a maximum of 128 sounds in there. All right, we are going to deviate a little bit here and we're going to add not another sampler in this mix. I'm also going to use the clap in the drum synth that comes with Ableton. And we would like to randomize that, and for that I am going to use one of my, you don't need to use this clap if you don't want to, but I want to, and I'm going to use one of my Max for Live devices, which is Prandom Map 7, very similar to the expression control. But this is purely used for randomization, and it's not triggered by MIDI key. We're pressing a key on your keyboard or your MIDI instrument. It's by pressing this little trigger button. And so let me just show you. I'm just going to map this to a bunch of parameters in this device. And the decay, I'm going to just turn down a bit. Oh, hang on, sorry. So every time I press this trigger now, it's going to generate a variation on the clap. So that's interesting. And I'm going to do the same with the FM. The FM is good, because that may not sound like a snare to you, and none of these sounds will probably sound like a snare, but they could do that job. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to map this to a bunch of parameters. We turn the decay down because we probably never want that to be particularly high, but maybe not 0 either. Fantastic, that's fine. So with hi-hats, I am going to keep it very simple. I am just going to only use that, and then the random map 7 device. Where have you gone? There. So we can generate a new hi-hat sound, so we can generate the color, we can generate the pitch decay, which probably never wants to be 100%, and the tone, that's probably enough. Lots of different ones. And for the percussion, I'm going to do like I did on the kicks and most of the snares. I'm going to use a sampler and fill it up with different samples that I have generated myself. That's glitchy percussion. So let me just... Oh, that's nice. Okay, so it's going to be lots of glitchy sounds. So if you have any of those in your possession, go for it. Just throw in. But you actually can use almost anything for this. This is fine. How many sounds can I have? 128. This library is too big, so we go to 128. I'll drag them in there. Boom. But this one, the thing that I'm going to do slightly differently, rather than using the select, I'm going to map it to key. So there will be a different sound depending on which key I'm pressing. So we distribute them equally, and we set the scale to 0. We turn off the filter. We do get some nice stuff out of that. Let's just do a few more, and I might fast forward that. They're going to follow the same format as the first one, so just want a few more of these. I think that's enough. That's fine for illustration purposes. Then we need some bass sounds. So we're going to do, let's try that. And for this, I'm going to use some patches. They are samples, I don't want them. I'm just going to take a few patches that I have done, and again, I'll group that, and then I'll just keep dragging a few more patches in. You can use whatever you like for this. You can use any soft synth of your liking, or even you can probably use hardware if you prefer. Just going to keep it simple. We just got 4 of them there. That's fine. And what I'm going to do with that, actually, yeah, I've forgotten to talk about that. We'll do that after. It's fine. And then we need some non-bassy sounds. We need something to create melodies. I think I call them lead. That one has got Valhalla in it. That's not going to be good for sharing because you may not have that plugin, and it's a paid for plugin. I would like to have this just to be based on stuff that is in Ableton. And hey, we're going to do the same thing with the pads. I'm just going to pick a bunch of pads. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I have now distributed sounds across these. Hang on, there's something humming for far too long in here. Oh, it stopped. Fine. So I've distributed sounds across all of these different types. The other thing I need to do is go through them all. So here we got a bunch of different kick libraries, and I'm going to select them all and click on chain, drag these out, and then distribute ranges equally. So got a nice kick library there. So we can access the different these different libraries, and to do that I am going to do the random map thing. You can use an expression controller, you can use something else of your choice, but what I want to be able to do is to pick a library. I also at random want to pick within that library. I want to be able to run the select, so every time I kick, it picks a library and then it picks a sample in that library. So we have done the library picking. We just need to go in and map these ones to a selecting a sample in each library. So every time I click the trigger now, we should get a completely different kick drum sound. As you can see, and I'm going to go through the other libraries and do exactly the same. So let's do here, we go into the chain, we select all of those, drag it out. Need to turn off the solo because they're not going to overlap anymore. We distribute them equally, and we're going to need that one, and we're just going to, first one will be for selecting the library, the second one will be for selecting the sound in that library, and selecting the sound in the next library. Did I do one in here? No, I forgot that. Do the first one, select the sound in that library, and then for the clap, we don't need to randomize anything or FM. So, well, we do actually. We do, but we'll get to that in a minute. Oh, let's see. All sorts of different sounds, and hi-hat, we only got that one, so we don't need to do that exercise. With percussion, we do though. The next thing we want to do is then to create a whole bunch of patterns. So I'm going to start off doing a few, and then I'm probably going to fast forward a bit just because it will probably be quite boring to watch that in real time. So let's make some kick patterns to start with. You put the kick first. Let me see if we just can hear that. That's a dreadful kick sound, so let's just... We're going to just generate some different kick patterns here. We always want the first kick to hit, but these ones we can use the chance here that you find in here to reduce the chance of the other hits to play, because that will, even though it's a short pattern, it will create a bit of variation. So I'm going to go through and just create a few kicks, some busier than others. Just a little side note, you have a bunch of tracks here and then you run out and you wonder, what am I doing now? Because I've been there. If you click insert scene, you will get more. What you can do is a control or command I. You can set in insert a bunch. I'm actually going to insert a bunch of blank ones as well, but we got a few nice ones with different kick patterns in, and I'm going to do the same with the snare. And for the snare, we probably don't want one on the first one. We want like a basic one here. So if we play very basic. And now for these ones, I am going to cheat. I'm going to use some Max for Live sequencers. I'm going to use you can use the regular step sequencer that you get with Max for Live, or it's part of the big three, is it? Maybe not. I have made a slight modification to this. Yes, so this one, the original step sequencer has got a random button, but it is not MIDI mappable, and I like that. You know, you can use the regular step sequencer, that's fine. You can go and click on things manually. The other thing that this one does is that it requires a MIDI note to progress. So I'm just going to use the regular step sequencer to just for progression's sake. Come on, it needs to sit before it. And as you can hear, that sounds absolutely whack, and therefore we need to pick a scale, and we're going to use that scale for bass, melody, and pad, because that makes it really easy to make sure that your tonal tracks are in key and not sounding absolutely atonal. It may be something you want, but not what I want. I want this to sound all right, and therefore I need to go into scale. I'm going to pick a scale, and I'm going to pick Phrygian mode. I'm usually picking the old warp scale, the minor pentatonic in D sharp. Basically all the black keys, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to choose the Phrygian mode, but maybe we set that to D sharp as well, because D sharp is nice. And I'm just going to copy this scale plugin and put it on. Oh, doesn't it like it? Oh, there we go. It needs to sit before, and we set it to D sharp. And we do the same with the pad, just to make sure that it's going to sound right and in key. And I'm going to take these two sequencers and put them in melodic as well. I'm going to use the same principle. Why don't you want to have me here? There we are. And I'm going to do that here as well. With a twist, I have to say. I did this in an earlier video, and I think it's an interesting way of creating chords. So I'm going to group that. And then I'm going to have 3 of these. So this one, the first one, will make all these 3 progress, but I'm going to randomize them onto different notes. Whoops. And this one, I know definitely I want it to go slower, or maybe have less probability, maybe this is what I want. Probably still want it to be slower. The other thing I want to do with the bass section is that when I randomize this, if I go to note, I want to go down otherwise it will be too bright. The bass notes. Okay, there's a problem with the percussion because that's making the same sounds. So what we are going to do here, because these instruments are set up to make a different sound depending on which key you're pressing, but these ones, they are all the same key. What we can do though, we can take that sequencer that I made, the step sequencer version 2, and this one, we're going to hold the mouse and we're going to zoom out so we get like all the octave ranges here, so we can actually randomize across the whole range of your keyboard. And this is going to progress based on how these MIDI notes, so every time it receives one of these MIDI notes that we have programmed here, it's going to progress the sequencer and which key is being pressed. So we just need to randomize the notes here. Spectrum on the pad as well. So when we're randomizing the notes, we can get a little bit more. Okay, we're getting closer to just record a crazy arrangement. And the next thing we're going to do, we are going to select all of these tracks that we've programmed. We're going to right, no, we're not going to right click. We're going to click on this thing here so we get up this menu, and then we are going to open this pad saying launch. And we're going to enable follow action. And what that does is, like, when one of these little clips up here, when they reach the end, it's going to check the follow action, what we would like it to do next. You can have a crossfader here, how likely it's going to do either of these things. So now it's fully to the left here, which means that every time it plays, it's going, every time it finishes, it's just going to continue to the next one, and just follow through. And we are going to set that to any, which means that it's going to randomly pick any of the other tracks here, but we don't want it to change every bar as every time it reaches the end. We want it each to play at least 4. It's going to play 4 times, and then it's going to randomize a new one. So we have set, why are these ambiguous? Let's select all. Follow actions are enabled. All of them are any. Does that count now? Yes. Thing. The next thing I would like to do is to create a bit of random. So I'm going to map some. I'm going to press this, which allows me to map keys of my keyboard. And then I'm going to go into the kick here, and I'm just going to use 1, 2, 3, 4 on my keyboard. So by pressing 1, I'm going to change the kick sound. By pressing 2, I'm going to change the snare sound, and also same key. I'm going to change, if it happens to be the clap or the FM, I'm going to generate a new randomization of those parameters as well. And then for hi-hats, I'm going to use key 3, and for the percussion, I'm going to use number 4. And here I can change the pattern by pressing 5. I can change the bassline pattern, and by pressing 6 I can change the bassline sound, and for pad I can change, if I hit 7 I change the patterns on all these 3. And why I'm having 3 is because it can then generate chords, because all these sequences will progress at the same time, but they will be all randomized differently, so you will get nice chords because they will go through this scale. And if I press 8, I want to change the which pad sound is playing. So if I play this now, I'm going to press some of these keys that I've now mapped, and you will see how the whole track will change. This for some reason, the bass line. Oh no, it's got 6. Yeah. Is it the melodic one that I forgot to map then? Because that all sounds the same to me. I did. Let's do 9 then, or something. The melody. What should we do? 0 on that one then? Okay, we have something that can just generate loads of different ideas, and we are going to create a bunch of audio tracks and just record in a bunch of audio. Let's change the color of those so we can see clearly that they are different. So we're going to create one for each channel. And we're going to set that to record. That one is going to record the kick. This one is going to record the snare. This one is going to record the hats, and this one needs to listen to the percussion. Other perk, that's what it's called. And then we need more of these. I'm just going to make more copies, one for each of these. That one is listening to bass. This one is listening to melodic. And this one is listening to pad. And then we're going to arm these. Audio tracks, so holding down Command so I can select more than one. And then I'm just going to set this machine off, and then I'm just going to press a bunch of buttons to just generate lots of ideas here. So I'll think that's enough. We have now 4 minutes worth of just random stuff that we can arrange into a track. And obviously this is a very basic version. You can add more randomization of effects and stuff and just create even more versatile outcomes. All right, so I am just bluntly going to chuck these. No, I shall not that. I shall keep them because you may want them. I'm just going to mute them. And yes, I mute all these ones because we don't want them anymore. We just, oh, the audio tracks we do want. Now we can just take this and organize into a bit of a track. Then we are going to add effects and things, because some of this sounds a bit dry and a bit samey, and effects is a great way of modulate your way out of something that sounds very static. So we are just going to, we can probably do this fairly quickly. You can choose, actually, you can choose a few beginnings. One could be with a beat, one could be with a melody, one could be sort of the paddy intro, or you can just do something that starts with something like noise and sound effects that transitions into the track. And I think we're going to start with a beat, actually. I think we can actually just snap that. I'm going to take these. Let's do this. Undo. We take all the audio tracks. Oh, come on. And then we move them all down to the bottom. These ones, I didn't use the effects on that whole group, so I'll just drag those into the group. I'll collapse the group and mute it, so they are all gone. They're still there for you to enjoy, but I'll just keep them out of the mix because we're only interested in the audio now. Okay, so we said we want up to there. I am just going to make a new section here. What's this one? That's not a good snare. We don't want that. That's absolutely terrible. Bad snare. Give me a good snare bit. Gosh, they don't change the snare sound much. Gosh, it's so terrible. Maybe we stick with those after all. It's fine. We can be creative with that. So if I take that bit and then run that down here. It's got a little click at the end of each sound, which I think is actually quite nice. And then we want some percussion maybe. Can have quite a lot of variation there to start with. I think that's quite fun. So we can just do something. Let's do this as well. We take these and we put them in a group. And then we do a new group down here, which we make a different color. Assign track color. That's good. So we do. Also, well, we should have done this before we started. Like, I think 120 is boring. So we can do that for 2 times maybe. And again, this one, we can do that twice. And the kick. Do we want the kick to do? The kick can be twice as well. But we can introduce the hi-hat maybe after a second. Where do we have the hi-hat? Maybe we take that a little shorter one and then we loop that twice here. And then we can do some percussion here. Oh no, that's not percussion. Where's percussion? Is this percussion? No. We already have percussion. But we can have 2 layers of percussion. Perhaps we can do that one. Is such a short one. Can do something interesting. So we can do that. And then we can reverse that one maybe. Do Command J, so I just turn that it's on sample rather than it's. This is actually, you know, got the whole waveform here, but we just want that bit. So I do Command J, turn that to its own sound, and then we can reverse it. Oh, go into that loop. Maybe I cut the last kick here, so we get and then we can drop into a bass line perhaps. I like the bass in the beginning, it was quite good. What do we want to us? Sounds like an SH 101. Just do 3 bars and then that's going to get a little bit of, I don't know, syncopation. Syncopation, baby. Cheeky one of those. me take some of the snare sound here. Can do some other snarey thing here because that bleepy one is not great. I think we can work with it and make something interesting. So if we do move that into that loop. Almost want that to start maybe there. How does that feel? We just do. And then we can take that. Oh no. Duplicate that, and then we can move that. And then a little thing of making transition is interesting to use reversing into things. It seems to create a bit of sort of tension and release, I suppose. And then we can have a kick coming back, but we want a different kick perhaps. Not such a good kick. Layer this with some other kick maybe. This is very quiet, isn't it? Minus 12 dB. That snare is just crap. The snare did not turn out all right. Out of all the hundreds of sounds I had, it's just like that they were the ones that were chosen for me. Rubbish. Okay, we can fix that. No, what am I doing? We want that. Gosh, that sounds terrible. We're just going to stick with that. I think we can use more of the kicks we had in there in the beginning. They were quite good after all. So have a little break there. So there, after about a minute, we need to introduce something else. We can. Maybe something like that. So after the minute here, let's see how this works. Some more interesting percussion coming in. A secondary melody, maybe. I think that would be interesting, possibly. If that comes in here, maybe. Yeah, why not? Why not? Interesting. And then we just need some more crazy percussion, which I think lives here. Is that right? That's the hi-hat. Where have we got? I think those are quite good. So the trick is, like, when you do, well, sounds like I know what I'm talking about. Well, I'm trying. When you do transitions and you want to incorporate different sections, a good thing, I think, is keep something, change something else, but don't change everything at the same time. And then also think about the division of the track. So you have something going on for X number of bars, and maybe every 4 bars or something, you introduce something new, or you remove something just to keep the interest going, or you can swap a sound out, or I should organize this a bit better because there's hi-hats and stuff all over the place. Oh, no. This hi-hat track could maybe sit next to the, where are the other hi-hats? They're there, so I'll just move that up to there. Give us some percussion. Bass. Maybe bass should come in there and sort of rumble a bit. But boom, 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 boom. That's the bass, isn't it? Oops, no. Copy that to there, maybe. percussion. That's a good bass. Let's take that bass that can overlap with the other bass for a bit. That can come in here maybe. That's annoying, that bit, I think. Gosh, I keep saying I'm going to get that percussion, but then I sort of get sidetracked. This is almost the most interesting layer with all these random sounds playing. Where should we put you then? We need a new track for you. But I think you need to sit together with the other percussion, so that's up there somewhere. I think under the green one. No. And there we can get finally some pads in maybe. They're too bright. I am going to pitch them down an octave. Pitch that down. No. Go up. That bass line disappeared. Introduce a second pad. We just need to find another section of it somewhere else. I don't know what would suit. That's quite good. stop it. I don't want to save this yet, even though I probably should, but I'm not doing it just yet. Also, if you hold down Alt and Shift on a Mac anyway, you can scrub through this, the waveform, without sort of dragging it out and cropping it and stuff. Let's see if we can find another section that might have something interesting in it. No. It's easy to do that anyway. Were they the only two damn bass sounds that were present in this concoction in the end? That's a disgrace! Where are you, my bass line? Is that my bass line? That's my bass line, I think. Incredible. Okay, we have to live with that. That's how the dice were rolled for us, unfortunately. So we only got those two bass lines, but that's okay. We just live with that. We're just going to own it. Let's see what other things we have. Got that glassy stuff. We can layer up with more pads. Of course we can. We can have as many pads as we like. We'll move that in there, and I've got a feeling that I need to pitch that one down too, but I'm not sure. Yes. I don't know if this is interesting, it's just dragging out a bit. I think it'd be fine. Maybe we get the light bass line to come back. Is that that one? Oh no. Is that the one? Maybe that's the one. If you pitch that down then. I think we're almost done. We need more beats because we hardly have any. Can do some automation. I sort of feel like I'm blending into the faffing a bit now, but that's okay. So we can start off that being washed. Oh, I need to check. I think that probably has a Valhalla reverb in there. I need to change that for the Ableton reverb, so you will be able to open this file if you get it. Don't know if it's a psychological thing or if this spruced up reverb actually sounds different. I think it sounds nicer than the old one, even though if it's a psychological trick. Can we get that to, oops. Yes, that's what we want to do. Need more kicks. That's bad kick, bad kick. Seriously. Strange one, very deep, but also not very punchy. But that's we'll work at that. We do something nice about it. I'm going to drop it in another kick track because I'm lazy. Where do we want the kick to start again? Not very structured here, but that's okay. Okay, this is actually a bit stupid, but now we just need to add some effects and then everything will be fine. Everything will be fine, I think. Ooh, I'm getting tired. I'm going to use some third-party effects on this, but that's okay because they are free. And I'll put the link in the description where to download them. And one of the tracks that we definitely need treating is the snare track because it sounds pretty appalling. Doesn't sound like a snare. That in itself may be fine to a degree, but it sounds very static and we want to move away from that. So I'm going to take a comb filter by Melda Productions and let's see. So if you download the file, I will also put an individual link to this link in my Patreon, so you grab this one before you open the file. I think we're starting to get somewhere, and we can also do... Should we do some... No. we can do another great plugin, which is Automaton by Audio Damage, which is also free. It's going to add a bit of randomization. It's like a sort of game of life thing, which sort of evolves over time. I'm going to set that to mix so we get a bit of the original audio in here as well. I think that's a bit weird, but nice. Another thing we can put on that is maybe, do I have that installed on this computer? I can't remember. What's it called? It's called the Shuffle Buffer Shuffler 2. Yes. It's running too fast. Can you change how quickly this runs? Is that? No. But we want this to automatically randomize. Need to have a second. And then we can just maybe introduce a little bit of vocoder on there, because that's going to add a layer of noise on everything. And I'm just going to make sure everything is in mono. Not everything, but the snare. You can be quiet now. Maybe we do automaton. No, we're not going to duplicate you. We can group you. I don't think there's a proper dry wet control here, so we put you in a group and then we make another chain which does not have it on there, so we just turn the volume down a little. Do we maybe want to automate some of these things? So if we click on configure and then we just touch some of these, so we get access to them, and then we go into instrument and modulation somewhere. I can't see it. Where is impulse? It's not an instrument, it's an audio effect, but it's not actually an audio effect. It's a modulator. It's an LFO. And let's drag them. We want them over here by the comb filter, and we want 1, 2, 3, 4. We want a few of these, and let's set them to random. And we can set them to sync to the track. Maybe we don't want them to sync to the track. We just set them to some different values. Maybe with some smoothing on some of them, so we get some Maybe we don't need to modulate all of these. I can't be bothered really. Gosh, I've put all this on everything. I didn't intend to do that. I just wanted it on the... I'm going to cut that. I just wanted it on the stupid snare. That's the only place where I want this. I think that's the snare, isn't it? Yes. Here is the only place where I want this chain. So this is just, the pitch is weird. That sounds better. I think if I pitch that down. And what do we do about those feeble kicks? We need more punch. So we are going to put some drive on there. That's not the right place. Where are you, my little kick? That's the kick. Oh gosh. Seinfeld maybe? That's nice actually. We do that and then we add a little bit of modulation onto that. Let's get another LFO. We set that to random, but we set quite a lot of smoothing on there, so you get these sort of smooth shapes. And we want this to offset up so we get sort of plus values more often, but we don't want a massive depth because we don't want to. That's nice with a little bit of maybe the offset is too, the depth is too much. Maybe we just change the dry wet to that. I'm going to put a drum bus just on the kick. I'm going to put it on all percussion, but I start off with one individual one for the kick because I feel like we need to beef this up a bit. Let's see, this is in a way our sort of master chain just for our rendered stuff, rather than putting stuff on the master channel, so that's fine. If I go in and take some dynamics and I put an OTT there, I'll just... And then we need a reverb before the OTT. Fairly mild one. Somehow I always found the reverb, if you add that before a compressor, it just like adds a little bit of glue that gets emphasized by the compression. That's a weird end to the kick, so maybe I should just do that so it rings out a bit. I just send off some to the reverb. Maybe the delay as well, as send it off to the return channel here. That certainly needs a bit more oomph. Maybe some bit crushing on there actually. Dynamics. Where is the bit crusher live? I cannot remember where the bit crusher lives. Oh, the shifter. Oops. This is the channel I want. Maybe. I mean, that would be quite daring to have a pitch shifting delay that goes a bit crazy, even though I'd set a dry wet to super low, so hopefully we will just get a little bit of that effect. Random map that to the amount of LFO that's applied. Let's see. And then turn down a bit here. Oh, forgot to turn these things off. Here's another hateful thing, isn't it? Like that's just like, let's just maybe they need to be pitched down. We've got some compression on there now. Kids, download this plugin as well, the Automaton. I'll put a link in the description. What a bag of crap. But I think we just need to, let's see, I just assigned this all sort of that minty green. No. All these ones, the pink ones, are the original audio that I was cutting from. The blue group is all the original MIDI, and the green is my arrangement. So I hope you enjoy that. We're going to listen to all of this through. Remember that if you want this stuff, you can grab it off Patreon. There are loads of other downloads as well that I've done in the past. And so check out my other videos. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was worthwhile. And again, apologies for the long delay. I hopefully get back on track and do these a bit more frequently now. And thank you. Bye. Not bye yet. We're going to listen to it, aren't we? We'll listen to it and then I say goodbye. Let's hope this track is all right. That was our track. I think the arrangement is a mess. I think there's some interesting sounds in there. I think this process is interesting too. And I'm currently working on some way of automating this even further. I am not yet close to solving it. I've taken it slightly further than I've done in this example, but I am not quite ready to share that yet, because I actually want to get a feeling for if it's worth sharing. So thank you again for watching. Like, subscribe, check out my merch store, go to my Patreon, share your music with me, and don't hesitate to ask any questions if you have any, or if you have any ideas of future content that you're wondering about. Thank you very much. Goodbye.